I'm sure that we've all experienced this. When you are sitting at the dinner table, eating your food, and you feel that heavy, burning stare. You look down, and there they are. Your dog is looking up at you with those huge, soulful, sad puppy dog eyes. They lick their lips, maybe they let out a little whimper, and they look over at their empty food bowl like they haven't been fed in a single week. You know they need to lose a few pounds. Your vet told you they were getting a little too chunky. So, you did what you were supposed to do. You cut back on their dry kibble. But now, their bowl looks so incredibly empty, and your dog is acting like they are starving to death. The guilt is overwhelming, isn't it? You love them so much, and the very last thing in the world you want to do is make your best friend go hungry. So you give in. You add an extra scoop of kibble, or you pass them a piece of cheese from the table, just to see their tail wag again. Well, my friends, what if I told you that you never have to choose between keeping your dog healthy and making them go hungry ever again? What if I told you there's a veterinary secret to melting away your dog's belly fat that actually lets them eat a massive, completely full bowl of food every single day? Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Tony Lee, your neighborhood veterinarian, and welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's topic, I have to stop and say a massive thank you to every single one of you. We just officially passed 10,000 subscribers, and we are still counting. I am thanking you from the absolute bottom of my heart. When I started this channel, my main goal was simply to help our furry friends and their owners by sharing veterinary knowledge completely for free. Spreading love and keeping pets healthy is our entire focus here, and I am so deeply grateful for your incredible support. I also want to say I'm so sorry that I'm not able to reply to every single comment anymore. As the channel grows, it gets harder to keep up. But I promise I will keep trying. And if you have personal experience or know the answer to a question in the comments, please jump in and help each other out. Let's work together to make our community a safe, supportive, and kind space where pet parents can lift each other up. So today we are talking about one of the most emotional, difficult topics in veterinary medicine: pet weight loss. Over 50% of the dogs I see in my clinic are overweight or obsolete. And every single day, I have pet parents look at me with tears in their eyes saying, "Dr. Tony, I just can't starve them. Food makes them so happy." I am here to tell you that starvation is the absolute wrong way to help a dog lose weight. Today we are doing a complete masterclass on canine metabolism, kitchen hacks, and guilt-free weight loss. Grab a cup of coffee and a notebook because I am going to teach you exactly how to bulk up your dog's meals, shut off their hunger signals naturally, completely change how you use treats, and add years to their life, all without them ever feeling deprived. Put the guilt away. By the end of this video, you are going to have a perfect vet-approved action plan to safely slim down your best friend. Hit that subscribe button to join our amazing community of educated pet parents, and let's dive right into Chapter 1. Chapter 1, the rib and knuckle test. Before we can fix the problem, we have to find out if your dog actually has a problem. One of the most common things I hear in my exam room is, "Dr. Tony, he isn't fat, he's just big boned," or "it's just a lot of fluffy fur." In veterinary medicine, we do not just rely on the number on the scale. Different dogs carry weight differently. Instead, we use something called the body condition score, or the BCS. It is a scale from 1 to 9, with 1 being dangerously emaciated and 9 being morbidly obese. A perfectly healthy, lean dog sits right at a 4 or a 5 on that scale. You can do this exact veterinary test at home right now. It's called the knuckle test. Stand over your dog and place both of your hands gently on the sides of their rib cage, right behind their front legs. Now, do not push in. Just lightly run your flat hands back and forth across their sides. What does it feel like? Make a fist with your own hand. Run your other hand over the knuckles. If your dog's ribs feel sharp and bumpy like those hard knuckles, your dog is too thin. Now open your hand so it is flat, and feel the back of your hand where your fingers meet your palm. You can feel the bones easily, but there is a smooth, slight layer of skin and tissue over them. That is what a perfect, healthy dog's ribs should feel like. Now turn your hand over and feel the fleshy, thick base of your palm right near your thumb. Try to feel the bones under that thick muscle. You have to push down pretty hard to find them, right? If you run your hands along your dog's sides and it feels like a thick, squishy mattress, and you have to physically press your fingers inward to find the ribs, your dog is officially overweight. If your dog failed the rib test today, please do not beat yourself up. You are not a bad owner, but you do need to understand the true stakes. Chapter 2, the true cost of 5 pounds. To a human being, gaining 5 pounds is nothing. It's just a heavy holiday weekend. We project that human math onto our dogs, thinking 5 pounds is no big deal. But it is a catastrophic biological mistake. A pug, a Shih Tzu, or a French Bulldog might weigh around 15 pounds. If they gain just 3 extra pounds, that is a 20% increase in their total body weight. For a human who weighs 150 pounds, a 20% increase is 30 pounds of pure fat suddenly strapped to their chest and legs. Decades ago, a landmark 14-year-long scientific study was conducted to see how body weight affects a dog's life. They took 2 groups of identical dogs. One group was allowed to eat as much as they wanted, and they became a little overweight. The other group was kept perfectly lean through portion control. Do you know what happened? The dogs that were kept lean lived an average of 2 years longer than the overweight dogs. 2 whole years. Think about what you would give for 2 extra, healthy, happy years with your best friend. Every time we overfeed them out of love, we are actually slowly stealing days away from their lifespan. The fat inside their body isn't just extra padding. It is an active, toxic organ that pumps massive amounts of chronic, systemic inflammation into their bloodstream, stressing their heart, their liver, and their kidneys. It actively damages their body in 3 specific ways. Joint destruction. Every time an overweight dog jumps off the couch or runs for a ball, that excess weight crashes down on their knees. This is the absolute leading cause of CCL tears, which is the canine equivalent of an ACL tear. It costs thousands of dollars to surgically repair and causes crippling, painful arthritis. Oxygen starvation. Fat doesn't just sit on the outside of the body, it wraps around the internal organs. Heavy fat deposits around the lungs and trachea mean your dog literally has to fight to take a deep breath. This is why heavy dogs pant constantly and cannot handle the summer heat. Systemic inflammation. Fat cells are biologically active. They constantly release pro-inflammatory hormones into the dog's bloodstream. This chronic inflammation creates a biological environment that actually feeds cancer cells and triggers canine diabetes. The beautiful news is that canine weight loss is entirely in your control. They do not have opposable thumbs. They cannot open the refrigerator and make a sandwich. They only eat exactly what we put into their bowl. So how do we get those 2 years back without making them cry from hunger? Welcome to Chapter 3, the green bean diet. To understand why your dog acts like they are starving when you cut their kibble back, we have to look at the biology of a dog's stomach. Inside your dog's stomach, there are microscopic sensors called stretch receptors. When your dog eats a meal, the food physically expands the stomach walls. When the stomach stretches far enough, those receptors fire off a signal to your dog's brain that says, "Okay, the stomach is full. I am satisfied. You can stop begging now." The problem with commercial dry dog kibble is that it is incredibly calorie dense. All the water has been sucked out of it during manufacturing. So if you take away 20% or 30% of their kibble to put them on a diet, the tiny amount of food left in the bowl barely fills up 1/3 of their stomach. The stretch receptors never get triggered. The brain never gets the signal that they are full. As a veterinarian, I am begging you, never ever just cut their kibble in half. This is incredibly dangerous. Dog food is mathematically formulated so that your dog gets 100% of their daily required vitamins, minerals, and amino acids in a specific volume of food. If you suddenly cut that volume by 50%, you aren't just cutting calories, you are starving them of essential vitamins. They will become nutrient deficient. Furthermore, your dog isn't manipulating you when they beg for more food after a diet meal. They legitimately, biologically feel completely empty. This is where we use the magic of volumetrics, or volume eating. We are going to replace a small portion of their highly caloric dry kibble with a massive volume of ultra-low calorie, highly nutritious fiber. We stretch the stomach receptors, turn off the hunger alarm in their brain, and they lose weight without even realizing they are on a diet. My absolute favorite veterinary secret for weight loss is the green bean hack. Go to the grocery store and buy a bag of frozen, plain-cut green beans. Make absolutely sure there is no added salt, onions, or garlic. Just 100% plain green beans. They are about 90% water and packed with natural dietary fiber. Here's the exact diet hack. You are going to reduce your dog's daily kibble by only 10 to 15%, just a tiny reduction. To make up for that lost volume, you are going to add a giant handful of thawed, warm green beans directly into their bowl. Mix it all up. Look at the magic that happens here. A massive handful of green beans contains less than 20 calories, but physically, it takes up a massive amount of space inside the dog's stomach. Your dog's bowl looks like a mountain of food. It looks like a feast. Your dog will scarf it all down. Those green beans will physically expand and stretch the stomach walls. The stretch receptors will send the full signal to the brain, and your dog will walk away licking their lips, feeling like a king. They have absolutely zero idea that you just robbed them of calories. No starving, no whining. It is biological perfection. If your dog refuses to eat green beans, no problem. We have an incredible backup option. 100% pure canned pumpkin puree. Just be absolutely sure it is plain pumpkin and not pumpkin pie filling, which is loaded with toxic sugar and spices like nutmeg or dangerous sweeteners like xylitol. Pumpkin is incredibly rich in soluble fiber, which digests slowly and keeps your dog feeling deeply full for hours between meals. A large tablespoon of pumpkin stirred into their slightly reduced kibble acts the exact same way. You can also use chopped raw carrots, chunks of plain cucumber, or steamed broccoli florets. All right, so we know how to trick the stomach without them starving. But we need to move to chapter 4, and this is where most loving pet parents are making a critical, accidental mistake. We need to talk about the measuring cup trap. I want you to think about the tool you use every morning to scoop the dog food out of the bag. What does it look like? If you are like 80% of dog owners, you are probably using a large plastic drinking cup, an old coffee mug, or a giant gulp cup you got from a gas station. You just reach in, scoop a heap of food, and dump it into the bowl. My friends, if you want your dog to live a long, lean life, you have to throw the coffee mug in the trash. A standard cup of dog food on a nutritional label strictly means 1 8-ounce leveled baking measuring cup, just like you would use to bake a cake. When an owner tells me they feed their dog 2 cups a day, but they are using a giant 16-ounce plastic drinking cup filled to the brim, they are actually feeding their dog 4 or 5 cups a day. That miscalculation alone is the #1 reason dogs become severely obese. Now, once you have your perfect measuring cup, you flip over the bag of dog food and you read the feeding chart. You look for your dog's weight, and it says to feed them 3 cups a day. So you do, and they still get fat. Why? This is another huge veterinary secret. The feeding guidelines printed on the back of commercial dog food bags are specifically calculated for intact, unspayed, unneutered, highly active, working dogs. Why do the dog food companies do this? Because if they tell you to feed your dog more food, you empty the bag faster, and you have to go back to the store to buy another expensive bag of food. If your dog is spayed or neutered, and they spend 90% of their day sleeping on the sofa, their metabolism is significantly slower. They usually need about 20% to 25% less food than what the side of the bag tells you to feed them. And here is the ultimate rule. When you look at the bag, you shouldn't look at your dog's current chubby weight. You have to feed them for the weight they should be. If your dog weighs 40 pounds, but your vet says they should weigh 30 pounds, you must read the chart for a 30-pound dog. Feed the goal weight, not the fat weight. And then volume fill the rest of that bowl with our green beans and pumpkin to make up the difference so they don't cry from hunger. But what happens if you try the green bean diet, your dog eats it perfectly, but a month later, they still haven't lost a single pound? That brings us to the kitchen sabotage, otherwise known as treats. We show love with food. When we eat something delicious, we want to share that experience with our dog, so we toss them a French fry, a piece of cheese, or a big glob of peanut butter because it is so cute watching them smack their lips. I never want you to stop treating your dog. Training, bonding, and giving rewards is a vital part of pet ownership. But we have to fundamentally understand how dogs view treats compared to humans. A dog's brain does not understand size or volume when it comes to a reward. They only understand the event of receiving it. If you give a dog a piece of cheese the size of a dice, or a piece of cheese the size of an entire block, their brain registers the exact same amount of joy. The dopamine spike is the same, but for their waistline, it makes a catastrophic difference. Let's talk about peanut butter for a second. We love filling Kong toys with peanut butter, but peanut butter is extremely high in fat. A single large heaping tablespoon of peanut butter has roughly 100 calories in it. For a 20-pound dog, 100 calories is almost 25% of their entire daily caloric needs. Giving a small dog 1 tablespoon of peanut butter is the biological equivalent of a human eating a massive double cheeseburger or 2 large slices of chocolate cake every single afternoon as a snack, and then acting surprised when we don't lose weight. We are unknowingly stuffing them with hidden bombs of fat. We give them a crust of toast here, a bite of cheese there, and the biggest offender? Pet store dental chews. Some of those dental sticks contain over 100 calories of pure starch and sugar. You are handing them a candy bar every single night. So how do we treat them without destroying their diet? First, we break treats into microscopic pieces. If you use soft training treats, break that single treat into 4 tiny pieces. You now have 4 events of joy for your dog with only 25% of the calories. Second, we swap high-calorie human foods for high-value, incredibly low-calorie natural alternatives. Give them a frozen blueberry. Dogs absolutely love the crunchy, cold texture of frozen fruit. Of thin slices of fresh, crisp apple with no seeds. A fresh slice of cucumber, or a frozen baby carrot to chew on. To your dog, a crunchy piece of cucumber is just as exciting as a high-calorie milk bone, but it contains roughly 1 calorie. You can reward them 10 times a day with fresh veggies without adding a single ounce of fat to their waistline. Just a safety reminder, never give them grapes or raisins, which cause acute kidney failure. And instead of stuffing their Kong toy with 100 calories of fatty peanut butter, try this vet secret. Take plain, fat-free Greek yogurt, making absolutely sure it has no xylitol in it. Mix it with a scoop of our trusty plain pumpkin puree and stuff the toy with that instead. Freeze it overnight. Your dog will still spend 45 minutes happily licking it out of the toy, but they are consuming healthy probiotics and fiber for a tiny fraction of the calories. And my absolute favorite rule for families? The treat jar allowance. If you have multiple people in your house who sneak the dog treats behind your back, you will never get them to lose weight. Take a small jar every morning, put a specific amount of low-calorie treats or kibbles into the jar, and leave it on the counter. Tell the family, you can only feed the dog from this jar. When the jar is empty, the dog gets 0 treats for the rest of the day. It controls the daily budget perfectly. Now we are controlling the bowl. We are filling them up with veggies so they don't starve. We are managing the treats. Let's jump into Chapter 5, Movement with a Mission. If we are managing the calories coming in, we also have to manage the calories going out. I hear this from owners constantly. But Dr. Tony, I walk my dog a mile every single day. Why aren't they losing weight? Well, I want you to observe your dog on your next walk. If your walk consists of the dog walking for 10 feet, stopping to sniff a mailbox for 2 minutes, peeing on a fire hydrant, walking another 20 feet, and sitting down to watch a squirrel, their heart rate is not elevating. They are not actually burning any cardiovascular fat. They are just strolling. If you want to use walks to burn belly fat, you need to dedicate 15 to 20 minutes to a power walk. This means the leash is short, the pace is brisk, and there is no stopping to pee or sniff. You are moving fast enough that your dog is actively trotting, getting their heart rate up safely. Now remember our golden rule, safety first. Please, I am begging you as a veterinarian, do not ever force a heavily overweight dog into intense, high-impact exercise. No sprinting, no jogging, and do not aggressively throw the tennis ball for 45 minutes to make them sweat. When a heavy dog runs and jumps, gravity and momentum pull their massive body weight downward as their legs hit the ground. Their knee joints cannot support that massive kinetic force. It causes the cranial cruciate ligament, or the CCL, which is the canine equivalent of an ACL tear, to instantly snap in half. I perform surgeries on blown out knees every single month, purely because an owner pushed a heavy dog to sprint. Concrete and asphalt are brutally unforgiving on heavy joints. For overweight dogs, exercise must be strictly low impact. First, and most effectively, is swimming. If you have access to a pool, a calm lake, or even an underwater treadmill at a local vet rehab center, swimming is the holy grail of weight loss. The water completely supports the dog's body weight, meaning there is 0 concussive stress on their painful joints, but the resistance of the water gives their muscles an intense cardiovascular workout. But what if it's pouring rain outside, or your senior dog really can't walk much? Can we still burn calories? Yes, we can, because the brain is one of the most calorie-hungry organs in a dog's entire body. Mental stimulation is incredibly exhausting for a dog. You can help your dog lose weight right inside your living room without them taking a single step, just by making them use their brain through olfactory enrichment, otherwise known as a sniffari. A dog's sense of smell is millions of times more powerful than ours. When a dog intensely sniffs the ground, their brain processes massive amounts of data, which actively burns mental calories. Instead of dumping their dinner into a metal bowl where they inhale it in 30 seconds, take an everyday metal muffin tin, flip it upside down, and scatter their kibble between the cups. Or hide small piles of it behind doors and under chairs inside the house. You can even take them into the backyard and scatter a handful of kibble deep into the grass. Making the dog use their nose to hunt, search, lick, and problem solve for 20 minutes actually raises their heart rate, fatigues their central nervous system, wears them out beautifully, and completely prevents them from acting hungry or bored 5 minutes after dinner time, all without putting a single ounce of pressure on their knees or hips. All right, my friends, we are coming into the home stretch. We arrive at Chapter 6, the medical red flags. As a veterinarian who deeply cares about you and your dog, I must tell you this. Sometimes your dog's weight gain is not your fault. Sometimes you can cut their food, switch to green beans, use a perfect measuring cup, and walk them every single day, and the scale does not move a single ounce. If this is happening to you, please put down the guilt and pick up the phone to call your vet. There are hidden medical conditions that make weight loss physically impossible until they are medically treated with targeted medication. The most common one in dogs is hypothyroidism. This means their thyroid gland is underactive and has stopped producing the hormone that controls their metabolism. Their metabolic engine simply shuts off. You will notice they gain weight despite barely eating, their coat gets dry and flaky, and they seek out warm places to sleep because they are always cold. Another major one is Cushing's disease, which is an overactive adrenal gland producing too much cortisol or stress hormone. This causes them to look incredibly fat and pot-bellied around their abdomen, but they will drink massive amounts of water and pee constantly. If you feel like you are doing everything right and seeing zero results, go get a simple, routine blood panel done at your vet. A cheap, daily thyroid pill might be the magic key that suddenly allows all that extra fat to melt right off. Let's talk about how to implement everything we learned today. Please, do not go into your kitchen tonight, dump out all their food, and completely change their life in 24 hours. If you drastically starve a dog overnight, you will cause their body to go into panic mode. They will get severe diarrhea from the sudden diet change, and their metabolism will crash, clinging to every ounce of fat it has to survive. Safe, sustainable, lifelong weight loss in dogs is slow. The absolute maximum amount of weight a dog should safely lose is 1% to 2% of their total body weight per week. Tomorrow morning, all I want you to do is start by removing just 10% of their kibble and adding a small handful of frozen green beans or pumpkin. Let their stomach adjust to the fiber. Next week, swap out the coffee mug for the baking measuring cup. The week after that, cut out the cheese and swap it for blueberries. By making these changes slow, gentle, and positive, your dog will adapt beautifully. They will never feel hungry, and they will never know they are on a diet. We started this masterclass talking about those sad puppy dog eyes staring at an empty bowl and the massive guilt we feel when we put them on a diet. But I want you to replace that guilt with empowerment, because you now hold the exact blueprint to save their joints from arthritis, protect their liver, and most importantly, physically buy them 2 extra years of life to spend by your side. Every time you swap a high-calorie treat for a low-calorie one, you aren't depriving them. You are loving them in the most profound, medical, life-saving way possible. I am so incredibly proud of you for watching this masterclass to educate yourself for the sake of your pet. They are so lucky to have you looking out for them. If this masterclass lifted a weight off your shoulders today and gave you a realistic plan to help your best friend, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It shows the YouTube algorithm that this holistic, guilt-free veterinary approach is exactly what pet owners need to hear. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss out on our veterinary secrets. And please, leave a comment down below. Tell me about your dog. Are they a chunky Labrador, a chubby Chihuahua? And what vegetable are you going to mix into their bowl tomorrow morning to keep them full? Confess in the comments, let's create a support group, and we will get through it together. Give your sweet, beautiful dog a big, loving belly rub for Dr. Tony tonight. Have fun replacing that kibble with green beans. Stay safe, always trust your instincts, and I will see you all in the very next video.